So, updates. Well, as you can see, I'm in salubrious circumstances. I've got Robin of Sherwood to keep me company, and I've got my little orange amp and a few bits. So yeah, as you probably have guessed, I'm out of the little studio, and technically at the moment, I'm actually homeless. But please don't worry. It's all cool. Like, I'm all cool. There's literally nothing to worry about at the moment. While it's not the most pleasant feeling, you know, having no stable place under my feet, it's like at the same time, you know, it's like it is what you make of it, and I guess at the moment I feel something like I'm sort of on holiday. I mean, it's like I can only use this time as a break. It's like obviously it's tremendously stressful at the best of times moving, but I can say that, you know, there's no ill feeling. It's all good vibes now, and I am kind of well, I'm quite happy here. I mean, it's like I'm quite happy here in a hotel. It's not something I'm not used to. It's just been a long time. I mean, it used to be a lot of this when I was working with 9 Below and whatnot, and it's kind of, and like I say, it's like being somewhere for a little while. It's kind of weird. I didn't have time really to enjoy the hotel when I was working with 9 Below. It was very, you know, there was no hanging around the next day or anything. So, like I say, I'm trying to use it, and I can actually tell you I'm getting some work done. I've got a recording device here, and you know, some guitar modelling. I'm quite happy in the headphones. So in the middle of all this insanity, I decided to do something daft, and I bought a guitar, and I actually bought a new one, a brand new one. I bought this Squire Telecaster Deluxe. I've always wanted a Telecaster Deluxe. If you look at these online, you're not really, they're so well, they just get rave reviews. That's not the reason I bought it, but it's like, you know, it's kind of helpful. What can I say about it? Well, it was 200 quid from Absolute Music. Absolute Music were great. I tried out a whole bunch of guitars, and they had no trouble at all. Like me, you know, just asking to have a go on whatever. And it was lined up on Guitar X, and I was in my own little tone room. and there's a couple of amps there, it's a Fender Mustang GTX, and they were like, "What sort of sound do you want?" I was like, "Oh, is that a Mustang GTX?" They're like, "Yeah." I said, "That's all right, I'll work it out." And it was a very easy machine to use. I said all bold and confident, like, oh, is that a Mustang GTX? Oh, that's all right, I know what I'm doing. I've never fucking touched one in my life, but I have looked at them, and I've looked at the spec sheets, and I know the other Mustangs well enough. And indeed, I found it very easy to use, and very quickly got the sound of a small box 50, you know, on a sort of 3/4 crank. And I loved it, and I tried out loads of these Squire Affinities, but you know, I didn't have an endless budget. I've also seen things that I like to look at in the future. I think I'm going to not mention one until if I buy it, because I think it will be a big surprise to you what I've seen that I really like, brand new. What I've seen that I really like the look of, and they've got 3 there, I think, so I'm going to try them out. And see how we get on. It's something that, if I do get it, it would be an unusual choice for me. It's the last thing you'd expect me to buy, I think. But then, would you expect me to buy a pink Squire Deluxe? I mean, so long and short of it, it's a hell of a guitar for 200 quid. Lovely satin neck, a laurel fretboard, which I like very much. It's got a sort of, you know, it's sort of rosewood with the red sort of stripped out, so you get greeny grey, and yeah, and so a satin neck. But then look, the headstock is glossy. It's got a glossy face, and look at this, hybrid tuners. This is a very cool thing. So the back is just like, you know, your normal tuner, but then the front, we go to the old split tuners, the old Fender style, you know, split tuners. I think that's a wonderful and thoughtful touch. Also, like a sort of fake bone nut, but that's a really nice nut. You know, it's like that tusk stuff, you know, it's like the fake bone. It's not like plasticky feeling plastic, it's bony feeling plastic. Form and fit, absolutely ludicrously perfect across the board. Things like the ferrules, you know, like absolutely like perfectly lined up, like really perfect. All the chamfers and cuts are sharp, like nice, very crisp sort of cut. The body, it's a little bit slimmer than a regular Telecaster. The body weight, it's sort of light, but not sort of paper light. It's fair, and you know, the balance is really nice. And yeah, the fixtures and fittings are all of a good quality. Even the saddles are quite sort of good. They're not the atypical ones. They're just a little bit nicer. The pickups are ceramic, Fender voiced ceramics, and they're pretty good too. Everything's pretty good. There's nothing that I want to change on it. I've been playing the arse off of it. It's lovely to buy a new guitar. It's not something I've done very often, and it might be something I do a little bit more of, just because, you know, if I've got the budget to do it, you know. I mean, the fact is, I looked at guitars that were £100 there. There was a second-hand Ashton, which looks to me like it came out of the Axel factory. It's got that same headstock, and I played it, and it was cool. It had a built-in tuner. It was bizarre, but it wasn't different enough or exciting enough. You know, I wanted something that I hadn't got, and this is kind of like my Stag Nitro, but like rolled back a bit away from extreme metal to sort of classic metal, sort of. You know, I've always wanted I've always wanted a Tele Deluxe. It interests me greatly, the combination of putting the sort of, you know, classic Gibson configuration on a sort of Fender body sort of shape, and it really does sit in the middle of those two sounds, you know. So there it is on like full chat. I don't want to go too loud in the hotel. I've got my little orange Crush 12. I'm thinking I'm going to go up to the Crush 20 at some point soon, and I'm actually going to give the Crush 12 to a friend. Like I'm going to give it to Chris, who's helped me out so much. I think that's the plan anyway. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do. If I wasn't giving it to Chris, I'd give it to you, Mr. White, actually. But like, Chris is storing a load of fucking shit for me in this whole transfer, and I can honestly say how much stress that relieves. And I'm only getting it because, like, well, there's nothing failing in the 12. Yeah, it doesn't have the auxiliary input, which would be really fucking handy, and was one of the reasons I bought it in the first place. And inadvertently, the site I was looking at was sort of like conflating the two specs of the 12 and the 20. So it didn't have the auxiliary input when I got it, and I was like, oh, never mind. It's like, but it's a fucking great little amp, and the auxiliary input would be handy right now. But it's like, it's not the end of the world, and but it also, it gives me an excuse to sort of do something for somebody else, because like, to be honest, they look short on a sort of little amp that they can, I mean, like a modern little amp, like something that's got something that's relatively fresh, and you know, you can at sort of like the volumes that he plays at, like you can get good clean and dirty sounds out of this thing. You know, it's actually really built for that, even more so than the 20. The 20, you know, it's an amp. You know, the orange is something that I do wind up a little bit in the day, and using headphones in the night. So yeah, with the 20 would suit me better with the auxiliary input. But oh, and it's clean and dirty switchable, whereas that is kind of, you do it all on the fly. But that makes it more interesting. Like, it's very sculptable, and I wouldn't get rid of that unless, you know, there was this sort of other side of it, of, you know, doing something nice for somebody else. Anyway, back to this guitar. I can only say I've always really fancied this pink colour, Burgundy Mist. And it's kind of like, okay, if you like it, if you put enough air bubbles through Burgundy, I suppose it would sort of look this colour, Burgundy Mist. But it's nice to have a guitar with the proper tele headstock. That's something that. But I've always wanted a deluxe. Years and years ago, dude, I used to like get my weed from. Like, and I'm talking when I was a teenager, when I first played guitar. And he had a lovely Ibanez Tele Deluxe, black, with a black plate with a maple board. And I fucking played that guitar every time I went around there, and I kept trying to buy it off him. There was even when I had 150 quid in cash and he still wouldn't budge. He loves that guitar, and I could see why it was a great, great guitar. And that switched me on to that was the first guitar to switch me on to Telecasters. But I only really liked the Tele Deluxe. The other ones could go hang. Like, you know, it was much later that I got into all Telecasters. But I liked the Deluxe from the get-go because it was kind of like a Les Paul idea, you know, with the controls and that. And I loved, you know, that Ibanez. But yeah, it's taken me a long time to get one, but I've got one now. And it really isn't as insane as it looks, you know. Okay, I might be homeless, but I spent 200 quid on this, you know. It's not the dumbest thing. I mean, look, you can keep the rain off with that. See, I'm not as dumb as you think. But yeah, it's an absolute little beauty. I'll tell you another one that I played. I played this a Strat in Burgundy Mist, and it was 2 humbucker, and it had the 2 fulcrum trem. Shit, man, that trem on the Squires, they've got it really well set up. It was on the Jazzmaster as well, and like they're really nice. They're really silky, and like really, the sustain is still good. Like, even if it's floating, like, it seems a lot simpler and a lot more direct than a Floyd Rose. I'm gonna have to get a guitar with one of those. I'm gonna have to get another Squire, one of these new ones, I think, with that trem. It's a very, very cool trem. It's again, it's a floating trem, not so extreme as a Floyd Rose, but you can still do a fair amount of it. I'd say you could, you know, like probably 85% of all the things you're ever going to do with a Floyd, maybe more. But yeah, you don't have that, you know, you don't have the route at the back, and you know, so it only goes to the body. But it's they've done this, just their upper ways. You can float them really well, and they're very stable, and nothing. There's no locking nut or anything, but everything stays in tune. I was extraordinarily surprised by all of the guitars there, the Squire Affinities that I tried with that fulcrum trem, which is not something I generally like. But so I'm going to have to get something with that. Where it may be a traditional sort of Strat, so that, I don't know, but we'll see. But and it's not an absolute, but well, I'm looking into the idea of that, and there's also this other thing that I saw in there which kind of blew me away, and I kept it under my hat because it was a little bit out of budget, and so I haven't mentioned it to anyone, and like, I'm not really going to talk about it. And if I get one, it will be like kind of a big surprise. You'll be like, bloody hell, that's an unusual, you know, I've been maybe like those of you that have played with me for years, like, would know that I have a love of a particular type of guitar that I don't own at the moment, and it's like it's on the hit list, and there's one floating around. It's for a realistic price. Unfortunately, it's a brand that has like a sort of too much legacy for my liking, and but nevertheless, this particular product of theirs is really good for the money, and I'm going to look more into it. So anyway, just to sort of say, rig today. I'm on obviously that I've got my Conrad with me as well on my plushness, and I'm in the little Stomp Lab down there, going into the orange, and other times I'm using the Boss there for practice, with the effects going into that as well. I've got that rigged up nicely. But yeah, it's ever so nice. Oh, hello, Michael Praed getting strangled. That's not good. Robin of Sherwood, I love it. But yeah, it's like pretty salubrious, pretty nice. Can't complain too much. And you know, I can have visitors if you want to visit. Like, give me a shout. But yeah. Oh, Maid Marian. All right, you all look after yourselves. Love you very much.